people, that's also not going to work. That actually turns a lot of people off.
Yeah, if you're an activist or you're in this sphere in any way, and you say, well, it's not my job to educate you. Well, no, okay, it's not. But then you got to go home, because then you're not in this conversation, right? So like here, I'll use my example. When Muslims were attacked, and pre-Trump too, remember the Republicans had these giant hearings. Keith Ellison went and spoke eloquently, as only back then, I think the only Muslim American, I forget if Andre Carson was in already. And they were saying that, look, basically we were dangerous and we should be kicked out of the country. If I said at the time, I'm not even gonna cover it on the show, I don't have to explain it or what Islam is to anyone. Well, how does that help? Well, they don't know about Islam. They didn't grow up Muslim. They don't know that instead what I did was I engaged in debates, 3 hours to Sam Harris, everyone on Twitter, Bill Maher, everybody.
And also he's acting like everyone is so rude to them and being so disrespectful without good faith intentions. But I'll remind you guys, just as an example of one of the instances of a fellow progressive kind of trying to educate Cenk and Ana, trying to change their mind, the one we just reacted to of Lance. I mean, he's being very respectful. Almost everyone I saw engaging with Cenk and Ana were being incredibly respectful, doing exactly what Cenk is saying progressives should do in these instances. He's like, you got to be civil, you got to convince people in a good way. Everyone that's criticizing you, that you're complaining about now for doing so, is doing so in a productive way, is doing so in a good faith manner. They're actually trying to explain to you what the issue they have with this whole sentiment is, with this line of thinking is, what these talking points are. And you're acting like people are just berating you and being incredibly divisive and harsh, when in reality, no, you're just lashing out.
Oh yeah, I mean 100%. It's a mauled right here, right? And it's not like we haven't seen Cenk throw tantrums before, right? And he's castigated people, he's ripped people to shreds. That was the whole brand of the Young Turks, right? Sometimes people have to take a step back and remember that they decided to make their career on YouTube, which is basically just a bastion for infighting, for dunking on people, for making fun of people's terrible views, steamrolling them, right, and clowning each other, right? That is what you do when you're on YouTube. It is a swamp of debate bro culture, memes, and cynicism, right? So that's the landscape in which you've decided to forge your network. You've played by those rules for the last, decade or more, and now you want to pearl clutch because it's no longer convenient for you, because you're already, a multi-million sub channel, and you don't want to be scolded for having a horrible take that your entire audience and also all of the content creators that you've had in your wake around you don't want to be associated with.
Everybody else, right? And we got some people at least to realize, oh, Muslims are also human beings.
Can I actually jump in on an example that's actually very personal to me and to you, right? Mm-hmm. When I first started working here, because of the Turkish bubble, like he grew up in, didn't see my perspective on the Armenian genocide and the reality of it. Let's just keep it real, right? I could have just written Cenk off and be like, oh, he's a bad person.
Oh my gosh, she's trying to defend this guy, and she says, you know what? I was coming on to work, and I was like, hey man, oh, you're Turkish. That's cool, man. Hey, what are you gonna call this here platform that, this radio show, this news show we're doing? Just curious, it's my first day of work. What are we gonna call this? Oh, we're gonna call it the Young Turks. Wait, is that an inappropriate workplace joke? Are you pranking me right now? Am I about to walk into the HR department? You guys be like, bazinga? No. Oh, that's crazy. Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, that never even happened anyway. That's just a bunch of hogwash. What a first day at work. Oh my god. But did that stop me? I said, this man is a genocide denier who named his fucking publication the Young Turks, a flag waving fucking stan. But don't worry, guys. He's actually pretty cool. We worked past that. Yikes.
Person, he can't be saved. No, except we engaged in some pretty fierce debates. We engaged in uncomfortable discussion. But to me, it was worth it because I understand that most humans are good And most minds can be changed through persuasion, through understanding, through engaging in these exchanges. Now, look, there are people out there who don't engage in good faith debate. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about ordinary people who are open-minded to some extent. And guess what? He changed his mind. And I think the transgender community, along with transgender activists, can do that. I just think some of their tactics turn a lot of people off, and they're totally blind to that, which amazes me.
Yeah, and in that case, I don't know that they were all trans activists. They might have been leftists, generally speaking, right? And guys, if you just don't lose the moral high ground. It doesn't help your cause at all. And if you say, I don't have to help my cause, people should already be on my side. You're not, okay, but they're not. So we got to help to make sure we win elections so they don't pass all these terrible bills against trans people. They pass like hundreds and hundreds of bills against trans people, right? So we've got to find a way to convince the average person. Here, I'll give you the last example, guys. So for example, when you talk about sports and trans people participating in the sports, I think it is an interesting and legitimate debate to talk about hormone blockers and how much of an effect they have on athletic ability.
Agreed, yeah.
Right, so when trans folks that are activists like Benny Carollo or anyone else makes that point, that's good. You're engaging, and a lot of people don't know that. Okay, so that's great, do that, right? And that might change some minds. By the way, and then it's okay if the right winger or to moderate or whoever or the newbie or even me says, hey, you know what? I'm not sure I'm quite convinced yet, but let's keep talking about it, right? How much do the hormone blockers affect athletic performance? That's a legitimate debate.
Yeah,
when the
exactly.
right wingers say, oh, trans people are mentally ill and we should take away their rights, that is not a legitimate debate. We fight back ferociously on that, but politically and rhetorically, because they're gonna win on the politics of it and they're gonna keep passing those atrocious laws unless you convince a majority of Americans that you are right. And by the way, guys, we've been through this 100 times and we've been through it in TYT history. We were right about gay marriage, and what do? We fought and we fought and we fought, and we convinced America that we were right. Now I know they're retrenching a little bit, but overall, if you do it the right way, you can win, and we have won.
Yep.
And we're gonna win on this too, but not if you go over the line. Then the right wing will have cause to be extreme in the opposite direction.
Final thing I'll say about this is we need to foster an environment that allows curious people to ask questions without fear of being labeled all sorts of atrocious things. Some people are genuinely curious. Some people don't know all the answers and want to ask questions. Simply asking the questions doesn't automatically make them bad faith actors who are just trying to trash the transgender community. I think when it comes to youth gender medicine, when it comes to transgender athletes, there are areas that I think are deserving of some debate among good faith actors. And we need to be open to those conversations and open to those debates. If we devolve into acts of violence.
Is that not what's been happening though? Like that good faith debate? You put out a statement that was controversial. Again, you've fostered an audience of progressives, of people that are quote unquote woke. Can you really act shocked when they push back on you in the way that's happened, in a way that I would argue has been entirely good faith, even from Olayemi, who, like you said, Zach, was the only person that did get that was like actually clowning on Anna, and maybe not the only person, but like one of the high profile progressive commentators that was like straight up clowning on Anna, deservedly so. Even from Olay, it's been nothing but real good faith pushback. People, actually trying to change your mind, trying to engage with you on the subject matter, offering to debate. So for Anna to be like, we just need to engage in good faith debate, and not resort to violence. It's like, no one's resorting to violence, actually. Everyone's engaging in the debate that you say they should be. Everyone is trying to engage with you in that, trying to change your mind, trying to, share their perspective on the subject matter, or the perspective of the trans community or whoever. But from everything that I've seen, almost everything that I've seen, yeah, some people have gotten passionate, but all the debate has been good faith. All the pushback has been incredibly good faith.
Except from the Vanguard. What's up? Let's go.
Violence or preventing people from being able to exercise their right in speaking, I think that it's only going to do more harm than good. All right, we got to take a quick break. When we come back, we've got more for you, including.
And you guys haven't seen anything yet. That was the end of that segment. They took a break, apparently kept stewing probably checked Twitter a couple times, which only made them more angry after seeing the continual pushback. And as you guys will see now, this is what happened when they came back from break.
All right, back during this was break. Lots of comments. Let's go to member section on TYT.com. Jerry Ty 429 says, I'm a gay man and a millennial in my mid-30s. I can't imagine how counterproductive online echo chambers would be if social media existed in my teenage years when the majority of the public was still learning how to embrace same-sex relationships. Well, boy, Jerry, I love you for saying that. That's exactly right, right? It doesn't mean you don't fight. It means you fight productively.
Strategically.
And strategically. And we're not in the moderate establishment camp. Well, like, oh, when I have enough donors, I'll move my position. No. You fight as aggressively as you can politically and rhetorically, but don't cross the line because it's counterproductive to our interests. Okay.
Don't criticize me.
Bureau approved. You wrote a very long message about how you disagree with me, and Shane wrote a similar one that I read. So I'll just say this, okay, I love you, and it's okay, and if you disagree, it's okay. If you wanna leave, that's okay, okay? Thank you for being a member all this time, I appreciate it. But what you're, in my opinion, what your misunderstanding is, and what you have maybe you didn't see is, so all this kerfuffle starts with a simple tweet, and then at least half a dozen videos from other progressives or leftists online, all attacking us and calling us all sorts of names. So maybe you don't see that, so you think like, well, what is Cenk so upset about, right? So they call us all these names and they feel super proud about it, like, we are more pure. So then I fight back on Twitter, and then all of a sudden they're like, how could you insult us? We were just, all we were doing was punching you in the face. No, that's a right-wing position. You punch, then you gotta expect that I'm gonna counter, right? I don't mean you kid tested, I mean for folks who are out there, here, I'll name a name, Lance from the Serfs. He's on here all the time on the power panel, right? And he comes out and does this like video about how he's so correct and, oh yeah, the Young Turks, correct? No, Lance, you're not goddamn correct. Nobody elected you, the polling shows no one agrees with you, your 12 buddies online, I don't care, okay?
I like how it says, no one elected you. Remember when you tried to run for Congress, Cenk? How did that go? Speaking of not being elected by the people, you got like 2% of the vote in the California congressional race that you participated in. So, calm down there, buddy.
LOL, nobody elected you. Nobody has to elect him. He's a freaking YouTuber just like you. He can say whatever the fuck he wants to. Shout out to Lance. He's a good guy.
Okay, and say, oh yeah, I'm 100%, he's 99.95% correct. Oh, I'm gonna correct him. No. So don't, look, you wanna say, hey, I don't agree with you, God bless. You wanna say, Cenk, you shouldn't say anything back because you're being rude? Come on, brother, or sister, I don't know what your
I just gotta be honest, I just don't really care to like collaborate with any other leftist ever again at this point.
Yeah,
just the Daily Wire.
Because they come on the show, they build a name for themselves.
99.95% correct. Oh, I'm gonna correct him. No. So don't, look, you wanna say, hey, I don't agree with you, God bless. You wanna say, Cenk, you shouldn't say anything back because you're being rude? Come on, brother or sister, I don't know what your
I just gotta be honest, I just don't really care to like collaborate with any other leftist ever again at this point.
Yeah,
that's where I'm at, because they come on the show, they build a name for themselves, and then they build a bigger name for themselves, trashing us as if they don't know who we are. As if they haven't worked with us, they don't know what our actual political values are. So I just
like defending the Armenian genocide.
I never want to talk about them again. I never want to address them again. It's a waste of time. There's important stuff going on in the country. Our personal drama.
This is just so insane. She's like, there's real things going on in the country. We got to move above our personal drama, which is why I'm excommunicating everyone who's ever criticized me online from TYT, and which is why I'll never work with another leftist again on our show. Like, what? Doesn't that kind of contradict what you just said about how there's more important issues to focus on? You think that a united left-wing independent media movement would be important to counter those issues and to move the ball forward as progressives and as a movement, but no, apparently not, because Ana never wants to associate with or work with any other leftists again after she got criticized by Lance on the Serfs. Who again has been pretty polite through all of this, pretty respectful through all of this. I don't understand the logic here. Should people like Lance, who sometimes come on TYT, are they not allowed to criticize you? Is that were you trying to buy their silence and stop them from criticizing you? And by the way, shout out to Lance, shout out to Emma Vigeland, shout out to Mike Figueredo and David Dole. You know, whatever you think about these people, whether or not you agree with them or not, it definitely took some balls to come out here and just completely disagree with Ana and Cenk in public, given the fact that they're friends, given the fact that Cenk and Ana are such a big channel and such big names in the space, especially for guys like Lance, who actually goes on TYT. I mean, we've been in that situation where a friend of the show, someone who really has been helpful to you in your career, but when the time comes to be honest, you got to put that stuff aside and you got to say, hey man, it's not personal. I appreciate the help you've given me in the past, but my job is to comment. My job is to give my opinion. And if you're saying some absolute fuck shit out here, if you're just spewing garbage, and I feel the need to weigh in, well, I got to do that, because if I don't do that, it's access journalism. And that's not something anyone should be engaging with, where you omit criticism or you just stay silent on certain commentators or friends of the show just because they are friends of the show. That's not really that doesn't really display much integrity in a journalistic sense. So, shout out to the people that were actually honest about this, despite being friends of the show, despite receiving help in their careers from Cenk and Ana. We've obviously been there, Zach and I, with the Jimmy Dore situation. I'm sure you might remember that. And yeah, it can be intimidating, but for them to act like they've been betrayed and that people like Lance are using them for clicks and just tearing them down because they want clout, that's ridiculous. This is the marketplace of ideas. This is the online public square. People are going to disagree with you. People are going to push back when they have a different opinion or perspective than you. And it's not violence. It's not unproductive. It's the exact sort of debate you were saying we need to engage in the first place.